Welcome everybody. I'm pleased to welcome you on Natixis booth with Marie-Laure. Maybe you can show the next slide just to a brief introduction. Marie-Laure, if you may. Yeah.
So, I'm in charge of innovation and solution development at Trade and Treasury Solutions. So we are developing new products and new solutions for cash management and trade and supply chain finance. And for supply chain finance, we chose to work with Marco Polo and TradeIX to build a new solution on the receivable parts of the product.
So on my hand, I'm Cyril Broutin, based in Dublin and responsible for overarching the relationship with some of our members bank, which are a major, the major French banks, of course. So this presentation is meant to be providing you with some very a brief introduction on what Marco Polo really is. So it is an initiative which has been triggered in 2017 between TradeIX and R3, the COLA provider of DLT solution. The idea of Marco Polo is really much to revamp, let's say, trade finance transactions, make them more digitalized, of course, and leveraging the DLT technology, making it much simpler, automated, secured, and transparent for a whole ecosystem. Not only banks, but also third parties willing to participate in the trade finance transactions. Whatever those transactions be, either like Marie-Laure was mentioning, open accounts, so receivables based, or more really involving commercial parties like buyers and suppliers. If you may go. So we figured out that, of course, within trade finance there are still today a lot of challenges, with a lot of information which is trapped, not digitalized, and processes which are really paper-based and not really efficient, especially from either a cost efficiency perspective, but also from a security perspective, okay, and a compliance perspective. So the idea with Marco Polo is really much to build a platform, a network of participants to make the transaction much more automated, seamless, and end-to-end from a corporate perspective, and with banks able to provide those kind of new solutions, very much more secure and visible. If you may, okay. So the idea of Marco Polo is, based on 3 layers of, let's say, solution. The very first layer is modules and application, which are really flexible. It means that from a end user perspective, very, very much flexible. So whatever the setup is meant to be, the program is meant to be, it is left in the end user hands to be able to parameterize the solution. But also a platform. So either from a bank perspective or even a corporate perspective, having that platform distributed onto the network. So this is really important to have that in mind. This is very much an idea of giving any party, any participant, the ability to run and have its own instance of the platform, with a rich suite of APIs, meaning that from an integration perspective, it is made very simple, and of course integration gateways too. Just for that, the connectivity to the network, to the ecosystem, made much more easier. Last but not least, of course, the blockchain technology, which is a network of nodes. So nodes being an identity on the blockchain, and a vault, meaning that every single node identified on the network is being able to transact from let's say, a bilateral perspective. So only sharing the information that are meant to be shared between the parties, okay? So from a high-level perspective, what is the idea of the Marco Polo network? Making converge the physical supply chain, the financial supply chain, and the informational supply chain. So having on a very simple, well, on one point, I would say, yes, all those, well, the relevant information shared, okay? So having one source of truth for every single participant. We have mentioned here some of them. So, of course, the trading parties, their respective banks, and also some other third parties, like credit insurers or logistic companies, having an interest to share additional data on this specific network, for sure. But the idea is also to expand the ecosystem, and we will be showing that in the next slide. So not only focusing on those guys, which are obviously involved in the trade finance operations and transactions, but also a lot more potential third parties willing, again, to be part of the network and providing additional data just to make sure that they are part of the new way of doing business. Marie-Laure, thank you. So yes, I was mentioning those. So we are currently having up to 25 banks join the network, and every single week we are having new joiners in every geography. So not only Europe, not only Asia, not only Africa or the US or Latin America, but well, it's everywhere. And we are also, relying on partnership with some other participants, like those who are mentioned here. So either ERP provider, which is really important to make it easier for every single corporate to be connected to the network and be sharing information from the very source of truth, meaning the ERP system, of course. But other participants like AIG, so a credit insurer, or MasterCard, which is going to provide a new tool with regard to entity management. And we are obviously having Natixis, so with a very specific focus. Marie-Laure, if you want to add some words in that respect.
So before going to the demo, because we will have a short demo.
Yes.
Why we chose to join this initiative? We were looking for a solution in the supply chain finance area. And we were looking for a secure solution, shared solution, distributed, and a multi-bank solution because it's what our customers are looking for. We chose Marco Polo project because it was a distributed ledger project, so secured and distributed architecture. It provides to our customers who are large corporates a multi-bank solution, and it provides also a promise to be integrated to their ERP, like SAP, Oracle, or other ERP, which is very simple for them. So Marco Polo gives all this, provides all these advantages to the bank and to our customers. Our customers were very interested in that solution. So we have been we onboarded the project, let's say 1 year, a little
18 months ago, something like that.
18 months ago, but we confirmed
yes
that we would effectively be part of the project less than 1 year ago, I think. We onboarded a very large client, pilot client, let's say a little less than 6 months ago. We tested the platform with them. They provided their feedback and their features, so we provided them to TradeIX, and we still are developing the application to fit with the customer needs. And we hope that we will be live at the very beginning of next year with our large corporate client.
So in terms of the solution that you have done, is it more on using some of the logistical providers as well?
Not on this module. This is very focused for the MVP, minimum viable product. It is focused on the building of a program of invoices by the customer who sends it. We will see that to the bank who propose financing, and it's built around invoice financing actually. But there are the payment commitment module, which is another module of Marco Polo, on board the shippers and so on.
This client was based in France or is based here?
We are based in France.
Yeah. With the client that you were working with?
It's based. It's a very large customer. So the person we are working with is based in France, but it's an international client.
Okay. Now the reason why I asked is because of the infrastructure that you need to build. Was that cross-border or was it domestic within France?
Okay. In fact, no worries of where the participants are. Okay, it's meant to be either local, so addressing local operations, or cross-border operations, depending on where the parties are located. But in fact, it's not a concern, because when it comes to speak about the solution, the nodes on the network, on the Corda network, are talking together. So the blockchain is worldwide. So no matter where the participants are. Okay.
It's a distributed architecture actually. So. And
what Marie-Laure was mentioning is that it's really important. Well, we are building this ecosystem, so giving every participant the ability to connect to a lot of potential different people. So if you can go to the next slide, because this is a kind of a summary of the value prop of Marco Polo. So it's a way to connect once to connect to many. It means that either from a bank perspective or from a, let's say, corporate perspective, a way to be able to connect to a lot of multiple parties, potential parties. So from a bank perspective, of course, you are addressing your needs for having some more streamlined solutions. So addressing your cost efficiency needs, but also opening up your potential channels of communication and commercialization, of course. And from, like Marie-Laure was mentioning,
our client needs,
the exact same on the corporate side. So opening up your ability to connect to any kind of participants, bank participants or whatever, okay? Also, the idea is to expand the number of solutions that we are going to provide. So like Marie-Laure was mentioning, so far we are having 3 modules: receivable discounting, payment commitment, and payables. But the idea is really much to provide a lot of different modules in the coming months and years, okay? Not only provided by TradeIX, as we are a software provider, but make the network as open as possible. So giving the ability for any participant to be coming over, and then providing additional value prop services, whatever, okay, onto the network to all the participants. And of course, it's an access to the blockchain technology, which is bringing a lot, for sure. Yes, you have a question.
Information on a credit, on cross-border payments. So the credit worthiness of the client, so the person who is financing.
I didn't understand your question, sir.
Credit information.
Yeah.
So get that captured.
Okay, so
where you integrate.
In fact, it all depends on the ability of, let's take the example of credit insurers to be part of the transaction. So you have seen AIG, okay? So we have a partnership with them. They are part of a big program well, it has been disclosed. So this is DHL. So this is a payable scheme. They are providing the credit insurance information for the debtors. Okay, so yes, it depends on their ability to connect to the network and interface and provide their well, what they are meant to be providing. But well, in that case, in fact, this is providing credit insurance on debtors, or like they are doing today. Okay, but this is a good question, because the idea is to get access to tons of data. Okay, just to be probably enhancing the way they are today doing their stuff. Okay, so having the ability to probably set up some kind of dynamic credit assessment. You see what I mean? Okay, having access to payment information or whatever. So on a very dynamic way. Okay, instead of today, which okay, they are assessing their risks. Okay, on a let's say annual basis. Okay, the idea is really to access the data onto the network between parties, commercial parties.
The platform is built to be very open, actually, but
Yeah.
we are going step by step, to
by
be
step.
very honest. So we want to go
yeah.
live very fast with the client, just to continue to keep on building the product with our clients, because it's very important. Yeah.
That's a good point, because yes, Marco Polo is also, well, it's a collective initiative, in fact. So Marie-Laure was mentioning the fact that, well, we have provided, and you can go to the next slide, provided the ability to our bank members, the ability to pilot some transactions. Okay, so some of them are mentioned here. Marie-Laure and Natixis, they have run some pilot transaction with that customer she's talking about. So that was really much the idea of getting the feedback of the end users, okay? So that to help design the more, let's say, focused solution, okay? So we are still driving the roadmap of the solution, but we are getting a lot of feedback from the bank members or from the corporates. No. Of course. No, absolutely no. But come over to the Marco Polo booth. We are having a booth, so we will be more than happy to go farther. Okay. So as we were mentioning, so 3 modules, 3 solutions are available today, as of today: receivable discounting, payment commitment, and payable finance. And we have also built an embedded application from within an ERP, which is Oracle NetSuite, to make it even simpler for a corporate to be interacting with any other participant on the network. Anyway, we are going to focus a little bit on receivable discounting. So just to give you an insight, for the sake of clarity, the demo, so we are going to show some videos of the platform. Everything has been made manual, okay, in that video, but the idea is really much to automate the process, of course. So first is the program setup. Marie-Laure, if you can go. So. No, but yeah.
Okay.
Okay, next slide, and then you can click on.
Click on what?
No, yeah, no. Yeah, no, that's fine. Okay. So this is the platform. So I'm here demoing. We are demoing here the setup of a program. So you have seen that we are in the funder environment, and it's an idea of what is available from a bank perspective to set up the program. So it's a very rich engine, okay, provided to the bank just to set up the different participants, of course, but also the rules that are going to be applied on every single transaction, if need be, okay? So it's a powerful engine of a set of rules, okay, which we are, by the way, enhancing every single day, okay? Just to give you an insight of what it is available, you can, in fact, set up everything with regard to a program, okay? So once a program has been set up, so a seller, some debtors, then you are getting into a very detailed setup, what kind of rules you want to apply. And then at the end of the day, of course, you are going to activate that program. So just to let the participant know that they are now part and they are able to transact. Okay, so it's a very, but again, very flexible, very focused. So you can build a kind of a template for whatever program you want to build up, or even for a very specific transaction or operation, building your own program, very focused. If you may go to the next slide. Yeah. Oh, no.
No?
La flèche bas. Non, c'est bon, vas-y. Voilà. Okay. Second step is, of course, from a supplier perspective, to go for uploading the invoices, okay, the assets. Okay, I want to sell my invoices. I have to sell my invoices. I want to get funded based on my invoices. So this is the next step. Yeah. Again. Yeah. Okay. So
at the end of the demo, I will be perfectly.
So here we are on the supplier side. So okay, the customer side, okay, willing to upload. So with regard to that, the demo is very manual. Okay, so we are showing up all the steps of an upload of invoices. But of course, ultimately the idea is like Marie-Laure was stating, so giving the ability from a corporate to be uploading automatically, in fact, all the invoices, not manually, of course. So building a kind of a connectivity tool just so that from the ERP system, okay, every single invoice which is meant to be sold, okay, could be so that the upload could be done very automatically. So once it is done, so in fact, the platform is giving you a lot of information with regard to the upload, and then of course, once the upload has been done, you can see everything which is very important. The ledger view, okay, so it means every single asset which has been uploaded onto the platform is also recorded onto the blockchain, okay? And every single change which is going to be made on that asset is going to be shared with the other party. So from a supplier perspective, as you have seen, every single invoice is on the ledger, okay, and has been shared already with the funder. So that, and you have seen this is eligible. So accepted on the blockchain with checks which has been done, and eligible in the program itself, okay?
It's going very quickly, so.
It is very quick. Sorry, normally it's fully automated, okay? So, but anyway. So with regard to let's say the financing part, let's go, Marie-Laure, please. So again, thank you. Okay, so we are going to enter the platform again as a supplier, and I am going to select my currency. I want to ask for a funding, okay? So the idea is to select some invoices to be sold, okay? But this can be, of course, automated, fully automated, okay? So I can set up in my rules, okay, what kind of invoice I want to sell. Here, this is a very manual process, so I can even do that manually, okay, or fully automatically. So then, just to let you know.
Sorry, do you finance on a portfolio basis as well?
We could be, okay. Here, this is a very much, invoice-based, okay, but we could be setting up some ABL programs, okay? If this is, the kind of, okay.
Well, yeah, it's going very fast.
So anyway, so the
you
supplier.
Want me to stop? I don't know how to stop.
Maybe,
I will try to stop.
I don't know if you can, but anyway, no, I don't know if. The very first step was. No,
no questions.
Let's go further. In fact, it's a kind of a demo of the interaction of the parties. So at the very first, the supplier is asking for a funding request. Then the funder maker, okay, is giving a kind of an answer to the request, and then the supplier, this is exactly what's happening now, is accepting the proposition. But so we have demoed here the full manual process, but it can be, of course, fully automated. And this is the idea, what we are working on with Natixis, okay, just to make the process as automated as possible, so that from a corporate perspective, just to ask for an operation to be done, and then within seconds to get the confirmation that the assets have been sold and can be recorded as such in the ledger of the supplier. Okay.
Yeah. It's what our client is looking for to get a very quick answer. Yeah.
At the end of the day, of course, there are a lot of interfaces, okay, because of course, from a supplier perspective, and this is what is currently demoed here, the bank is going to send a confirmation that the payment has been made, okay, at the end of the day. So this, based on that information, it means me as a bank, I am committed. You see what I mean? So based on that information, then the supplier could be updating its own information within its own ledger, so that the invoice is not anymore a receivable, but cash, okay? Last but not least.
Just before going here, actually the program set within the application is a mirror of an underlying contract, and that's how the rules are parameterized. They reflect the underlying contract.
Absolutely.
In the underlying contract, we say to our client, yes, we can work on this country, but not on that country. Yes, we can accept to finance invoices not less than, don't say, $1 million and so on. So we parameterize all the rules, and this is a reflect of the underlying contract.
Actually. The sales contract is also set up as a smart contract here?
No, the smart contract could be
in fact,
the program.
Yeah.
But actually, our legal department need, the traditional agreement between credit agreement, let's say, between the bank and the supplier.
Buyer-seller contract can be done.
Yes.
Yeah.
For instance, what you are mentioning, the transfer of ownership of the asset is, in fact, on the ledger, on the blockchain. Okay, so this is the source of truth. Okay, if there is any request or whatever for that specific thing or event, it is on the ledger, and we can provide the proof that the asset, the invoice, has been transferred. Well, the ownership of that specific invoice has been transferred. It is tracked and traced fully transparently on the blockchain. So as I was mentioning, that
do you break it totally separated from the compliance point of view, or have you integrated all the IT system compliance with it?
Compliance systems are not integrated
well,
now.
Not now, but the idea is relying on APIs, of course, to call, potential other source
not
of
only
information.
Compliance, but also our credit limits,
of course, yes.
Systems and so on. So
absolutely.
But step by step.
So based on APIs, well, you can do whatever you want, in fact. Okay. So. Well, with regard to that very mundane process, so at the end of the day, well, on maturity, there is a need for, do it again. Flèche bas peut-être. Yeah, c'est bon. Okay. In that kind of receivable discounting scheme, the supplier is meant to be receiving the payment from the buyers, okay, and then inform the bank that it has received a payment. This is exactly what is going to be done here. And then the bank will be confirming that the payment has been settled. And it is going to be reflected onto the ledger too. And this is what's happening. So here, the supplier is, again, manually uploading the information that he has received a payment. And it's going to be reflected again in on the ledger. So a trade payment confirmation has been changed from the supplier side. On the bank side, okay, it's going to be, well, the bank is going to be notified, and the bank is going to be confirming that the settlement has been received. And then the operation will be, let's say, closed onto the...
so will it be uploaded back into the credit monitoring systems in the bank?
Can be. In fact, depending on what the bank is willing to implement in terms of solution, in terms of processes, okay? So, but the important thing is that, yes, everything again, and then, okay, on the ledger, on the blockchain, it is recorded, okay? On both sides. And so this is the funder side, okay? But you will see that if I come back to the supplier environment, everything has been replicated. So it means that the participants, both sides, are sharing the exact same information.
At the same time.
And at the same time, yes. And then from a supplier or a bank perspective, I can update my own system as I need to be updated, okay? So as a kind of a wrap-up, well, you have understood that we are relying on the blockchain technology. We do believe that it can provide a lot of more security, efficiency, traceability, a lot of things. Now, the promise is to go live now as soon as possible and make it clear that this is scalable. Okay, so this is what we are working on with Natixis, and as Marie-Laure was stating, hopefully we can go live by the end of this year for pilot, let's say, pre-production transaction, and then really go live next year. So this is the plan, and we are happy to have that. Natixis has a very
and our clients are very excited as well.
So yes, next slide, because this is your part for sure, Marie-Laure. Okay, if you want to join, okay, so new banks willing to join, every single day we are having discussions like we are having, promoting, of course, Marco Polo. It's an easy process, okay? We are providing some multiple scheme just to test or evaluate the solution. But yes, the idea is really much to expand as much as possible the network, so that when time is ripe to expand and have a lot of transactions happening onto the network.
By joining yourselves, you're going to also help us connect with the Polo network? Is that what it is?
This is the exact, yes, the idea, of course. For you, as a bank, having access to a lot of potential correspondents, but also a channel of opening up your market and the network.
No, I think from the perspective of where you're getting into new geographies, where the challenge that I think you probably are facing as well is how do you kind of build the same ecosystems around the client's transaction requirements? Meaning, if I get into an environment, if you're not doing invoice financing, if you're doing something related to documentary trade, for example, then you need to provide to make sure that these are connected in the logistical providers, third-party providers, and all of that before the clients can make use of this. So some of it is. That's
a good question, because in fact it all relies on our ability, in fact, to onboard the various participants. Okay, so the goal now is to onboard as many banks as possible, of course. So to expand again the possibilities of what you are mentioning in terms of potential transaction, but then relying on the bank themselves to onboard their own clients, but make it very easy for any corporate client to be onboarded and participate onto the network. So providing a node and that kind of things. But you only need a node, okay? So a kind of a relationship with the bank, which is member of the Marco Polo network, and then being provided with a node. It means that at that very simple moment, you will be able to transact. Which is, by the way, the promise of the network. Okay, connect once to connect to many, even if your very first, connection is with you, for instance. But then having access to a lot of different partners, potential partners. So triggering a real snowball effect. You see what I mean? Yeah. So many more to come here in SIBOS, so feel free to join. So today we are having that presentation with Natixis, and thank you again, Marie-Laure. Tomorrow we will be on the LBBW booth with the big announcements, and then, come over to our booth. We will be more than happy to further. Yeah.
Today at 3 p.m. it's the big case with Dur, Agé, and Time. They just the time.
Yeah, because I think one of the things that we face challenges is to actually get the infrastructure. Sometimes we believe the client needs to centrally drive this as well, because we have seen examples where the client drives it, then the bankers come in, the logistical providers come in, and so instead of the bankers, if you approach the bankers many times, then the bankers need to run around and make sure, working with you, to make sure that everything else along this transaction. Because sometimes the buyer's not ready, sometimes the seller's not ready, sometimes they...
No, you are right. You are right.
You're forcing the bankers to lead and to do all of that. And sometimes the client itself, because it's client-centric, so the client's needs are...
In fact, yes, the promise is, if we are able to provide the relevant solutions, then, of course, the adoption will be very natural, I would say. Okay, so either from a buyer perspective or a supplier perspective, if there is a need from a buyer to provide some visibility to the supplier, then okay, it will be only a call. Okay, just join the Marco Polo network. This will be much easier for us to transact. Okay, and then you will find at some point in time the relevant bankers to participate and to be part of the transaction. But again, it also means that if you have a client and you are not on the Marco Polo network, you are taking the risk that, well, losing your customer. You see what I mean? Okay.